Tasha steered her white Range Rover carefully through Nairobi's heavy traffic, her gold earrings glinting under the afternoon sun. She glanced at her diamond-encrusted watch, irritation flashing across her face. "If this traffic costs me that deal, someone's going to pay," she muttered, tapping her manicured fingers on the wheel. She had a big meeting lined up, an import deal that could push her business to the next level. As she adjusted her designer sunglasses, her gaze fell on the construction site beside the road. Men in orange safety vests were hauling cement bags, their clothes drenched in sweat. She almost looked away until one figure froze her in place. A woman, face smeared with dust, pushing a wheelbarrow with quiet determination. Tasha leaned forward, squinting. Her lips curled slowly into a cruel smile. "No way," she whispered. "That's Amara." Amara was barely recognizable at first. Sweat dripped from her brow, cement smeared her rough gloves, and her once proud shoulders now strained under the weight of endless labor. But Tasha knew that face. Memories came rushing back. School days when teachers chanted Amara's name as though she were some goddess of academics. Everyone clapped for Amara, our golden star. The echoes replayed in Tasha's head. The irony of the moment was too sweet. Here was the genius, the perfect student, mixing cement like a common laborer. Tasha's laughter bubbled up uncontrollably. She pulled out her phone, thumb hovering over the record button. "This," she said, smirking, "is going online." Back in their school days, Amara had always been the girl with perfect grades and humble smiles. Tasha remembered sitting in the front row with her shiny new school bag and imported shoes, yet never impressing anyone. The teachers compared her to Amara every single day. "Tasha, why can't you be serious like Amara? Look how hard she works." It was torture. Amara, with her neat cornrows and faded uniform, always topping the class. And Tasha, the fashion queen, who scored barely enough to pass. That humiliation had never left her. And now, fate had handed her a chance for payback. Tasha parked her car by the roadside, her heels clicking confidently as she strutted toward the construction site. Workers paused mid-task to stare. Who was this elegant woman, dressed like wealth itself, stepping into their dusty world? Tasha ignored their stares. She raised her phone high, camera aimed at Amara. Well, she drawled with a mocking smile. "Look who we have here. Amara Nwosu, our golden girl. Remember how teachers worshipped you? Amara is so brilliant. Amara will change the world. And now look at you, mixing cement like a nobody. Isn't life funny?" Amara turned at the sound of her name, her face lighting up. "Tasha, is that really you?" she called, excitement breaking through the fatigue in her voice. She dropped the wheelbarrow and wiped her forehead with her sleeve, smiling warmly. But her joy froze when she noticed the phone pointed at her. Tasha's smirk widened as she zoomed in on Amara's sweat-stained clothes and dust-caked boots. "Smile for the camera," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Say hello to our high school WhatsApp group. They'll be thrilled to see what their superstar is up to." The construction workers glanced at each other uncomfortably. Some whispered among themselves, sensing the cruelty in Tasha's tone. Amara's cheeks burned as the camera hovered inches from her face. "Tasha, please don't do this," she whispered, her voice trembling. "We were friends once." Tasha threw her head back and laughed. "Friends? Don't make me laugh. You were the teacher's pet. Always the example, always the one who made me look like a failure. Well, tell me, genius, where's your big career now?" Amara's lips quivered, but she stayed silent. Her silence only fueled Tasha's cruelty. "Meanwhile, look at me," Tasha boasted, flipping the camera to show her glittering jewelry. "All my business. I drive a Range Rover. I live in a luxury apartment. And guess what? I barely scraped through school. But my father has connections. My father has money. That's what matters. Not your precious grades." She sneered, turning the camera back to Amara. "All those nights burning kerosene lamps for what? To push wheelbarrows." With a flick of her wrist, Tasha pulled a wad of cash from her designer wallet and tossed it into the dust at Amara's feet. "Here," she mocked. "Buy yourself lotion. This kind of work ruins the skin." The notes scattered on the ground as workers gasped in shock. Amara's eyes welled with tears, her pride shattering under the weight of humiliation. "Don't pick it up, sister," one of the younger workers whispered urgently. "Don't let her disgrace you." But the damage was done. Tasha laughed and kept recording. From his air-conditioned office nearby, engineer Chaik Obi, the regional manager of Landmark Construction, had been watching. He had seen Amara's quiet diligence over the months, but now, for the first time, he saw her pain. He noticed how she held herself, not lashing back, not throwing insults, just enduring. His brow furrowed as he watched Tasha's cruel performance. "Interesting," he murmured, calling his site supervisor. "That young woman being humiliated. Who is she?" "That's Thamara Nwosu," replied Supervisor Ibrahim when summoned. "She's been with us for nearly 2 years. Hardest worker I've ever seen. She even solves technical problems the others can't handle. Graduated first class in civil engineering, sir. Couldn't find work, so she ended up here." Engineer Chaik leaned back thoughtfully. First class engineering graduate, reduced to manual labor, and yet she still works with such dignity. His eyes hardened. "Tell her to come to my office tomorrow morning. I want to hear her story." That night, Amara sat in her small, dimly lit room, staring at her phone with trembling hands. The video was already everywhere. WhatsApp groups, Facebook, Instagram. Notifications kept buzzing with cruel comments. "Can you believe this is Amara? Our genius now a laborer," some mocked. Others pitied her, but pity was almost worse. Amara dropped the phone onto her mattress and buried her face in her hands. Tears soaked her pillow as she whispered, "God, why me? Did all my studying mean nothing?" Morning came with dread. Amara walked nervously toward the site office, her heart thumping against her ribs. What if Tasha's drama had cost her the little dignity she still had? She paused at the door, inhaled deeply, then knocked. "Come in," Engineer Chaik's calm voice called. She stepped inside, her dusty work clothes suddenly feeling like chains around her. "Sit down," he said kindly. His gaze wasn't mocking, just curious. "I saw what happened yesterday. I also asked about you. Tell me your story, Amara." Amara hesitated, then began slowly. She told him about her years of hard work at university, how she had graduated with top honors in civil engineering, only to be met with rejection after rejection. Every company wanted bribes or 5 years' experience for entry-level jobs, she said, voice quivering. "I had neither. My father is a taxi driver. My mother sells vegetables. They gave everything to see me graduate. I couldn't go back empty-handed, so I took this job." She lowered her eyes. "They don't even know I'm here. Do you regret studying engineering?" Engineer Chaik asked gently. Amara thought carefully before answering. "No, sir. Even pushing wheelbarrows, I see what we're building. I can read the drawings. I understand why each column matters. My knowledge still guides me, even if my title doesn't." Chaik's eyes narrowed with admiration. "That's rare. Someone who understands both the theory and the practical." He leaned forward. "I have a proposition for you." Amara's breath caught. "A proposition, sir?" she asked, leaning forward anxiously. Chaik nodded. "We are launching a new project, a 15-story residential complex. I need a junior site engineer, someone the workers already respect, someone who knows the ground and the books. You fit perfectly." Interested, for a moment Amara just stared, certain she had misheard. "Sir, are you offering me an engineering position?" "Yes," Chaik replied firmly. "Good salary, full benefits, opportunity for growth. Starting Monday." Amara's eyes flooded with tears of relief. She clasped her hands together, bowing her head. "Thank you, sir. Thank you. I won't disappoint you." Chaik gave a small smile. "Don't thank me. Thank your resilience. You kept working when others would have quit. That's what convinced me." When Amara left the office, her heart felt lighter than it had in years. For the first time since graduation, she saw a door opening, a door she thought had been slammed forever. While Amara's life shifted upward, Tasha's was crumbling beneath her. Her import business looked glamorous from the outside, but inside it was chaos. She had relied completely on her father's connections, never learning the art of negotiation or proper accounting. Suppliers were growing impatient with unpaid invoices, but Tasha brushed it off. Daddy will handle it, she assured herself. What she didn't know was that her father's empire was already teetering, the foundation cracking beneath the weight of debts and corruption. Chief Jerry, Tasha's father, had overextended himself for years. Lavish parties, risky investments, and political deals that demanded endless kickbacks. When corruption allegations finally surfaced, his accounts were frozen overnight. Partners cut ties, and creditors circled like vultures. Tasha watched in disbelief as the family mansion was auctioned, their luxury cars repossessed, and her father rushed to the hospital after a heart attack. The glamorous world she flaunted on social media collapsed like a house of cards. For the first time, Tasha realized, without money or power, she had nothing. Meanwhile, Amara flourished. Her first project as junior site engineer was completed ahead of schedule and under budget. The workers who once only saw her as one of them now respected her as both leader and colleague. Engineer Chaik promoted her to site engineer within months. Industry magazines began to notice her, writing about her innovative techniques for affordable housing. "This young woman is redefining construction in Nairobi," one headline read. Amara smiled as she cut the ribbon on her first finished building, her parents cheering proudly in the crowd. A year later, Amara had founded her own consulting firm. She hired some of her old co-workers, giving them better wages and training opportunities. Her name was becoming synonymous with integrity and quality. While she rose, Tasha fell lower than she ever imagined. One humid afternoon, Tasha balanced a tray of roasted groundnuts on her head, calling out to passers-by, "Sweet groundnuts, fresh groundnuts." The sun beat down on her as worn sandals pinched her blistered feet. She glanced at a passing black SUV and froze. Inside, dressed in a crisp blazer, sat Amara. Tasha's heart dropped when her eyes locked with Amara's. She tried to turn away, pretending to adjust the tray on her head, but it was too late. The SUV slowed, then stopped. Amara stepped out gracefully, phone still in her hand from a business call. Her heels clicked on the pavement as she approached. "Tasha," she said softly, disbelief in her voice. Tasha's lips trembled, tears forming instantly. "Amara, please, just go. Don't look at me like this. I'm ashamed." Amara's eyes softened. "What happened?" she asked gently, ignoring the curious stares of pedestrians. Tasha looked down, her voice breaking. "Everything fell apart. Daddy's business collapsed. We lost everything. I've been searching for work for months, but nobody will hire me. I don't have real skills, Amara. All I had was my father's money and name. Now I'm this." She gestured helplessly at the tray on her head. "I sell groundnuts to keep myself alive. My mother has nothing. My father is still in the hospital." Amara stood quietly, her memories flashing back to that day at the construction site. The phone camera, the mocking laughter, the scattered money in the dust. Tasha's cruelty had burned her deeply, yet seeing her now, broken and humbled, stirred something different. Tasha suddenly dropped the tray to the ground, nuts spilling everywhere, and began to sob. "I'm sorry," she cried openly. "I'm so sorry for what I did to you. That video, the things I said. I thought I was better than you, but I was wrong. Please forgive me." Amara bent down, picking up a handful of scattered groundnuts and placing them gently back on the tray. "Tasha," she said slowly, "I forgave you a long time ago. Carrying hatred only weighs the soul down. But you must forgive yourself too." Tasha wiped her tears with the back of her hand, staring at her old rival with disbelief. "After everything I did, you can still speak to me kindly?" Amara gave a faint smile. "Kindness costs nothing. Cruelty costs everything." Tasha sniffled, her voice barely above a whisper. "I read about you, you know. I saw your face in the newspapers. Your engineering firm, your housing projects. You deserved it all along. I used to laugh at you for studying so hard, but now I see. I wasted my life chasing shadows." Amara placed a hand on her shoulder. "It's not too late. What kind of work are you looking for?" Tasha shook her head desperately. "Anything. I'll clean floors, sell in a shop, whatever it takes. I just need a chance." Amara thought carefully. Her company was growing, and she did need someone trustworthy in the office. Finally, she said. My firm needs an administrative assistant. Answering calls, organizing files, handling basic accounts. The pay isn't glamorous, but it's honest work. Would you be interested? Tasha's mouth fell open. You give me a job? After what I did to you? Amara nodded firmly. Everyone deserves a second chance. But this time, you must work hard. No shortcuts. Do you understand? I understand, Tasha said quickly, clutching Amara's hands as fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. I promise I'll never take this for granted. I'll work harder than anyone. Please, Amara, just give me this chance. Amara squeezed her hand gently. Then it's settled. Report to my office on Monday morning. Tasha sobbed again, but this time her tears were of relief. For the first time since her father's downfall, she felt hope flicker inside her broken spirit. The following weeks tested Tasha like nothing before. Waking early, catching potatoes, answering phones politely, balancing ledgers, tasks she once thought beneath her. At first, she stumbled often, earning stern looks from senior staff. But Amara never humiliated her. Instead, she corrected her gently, sometimes staying after hours to show her how to file reports or manage accounts. Don't rush, Tasha, she would say. Excellence is built brick by brick. Slowly, Tasha began to change, finding satisfaction in honest work for the first time 2 years later. Amara's company had grown into one of Nairobi's most respected firms, known for affordable housing projects that gave dignity to low and middle-income families. Tasha had worked her way up, becoming Amara's office manager. Their old rivalry had transformed into genuine friendship. One afternoon, Amara called her into the office. We've been invited to speak at our old secondary school's career day, she announced. Tasha froze, memories of shame and laughter flooding back. You want me to go with you? Amara nodded. Yes. They need to hear both our stories. On the day of the event, Amara stood at the podium as keynote speaker. Her words were powerful, filled with wisdom and encouragement. Success, she told the students, is not about where you start, but how you build. During the Q&A session, a nervous student asked, what would you tell someone who feels like they failed in life? Amara glanced at Tasha in the audience and smiled. I'd say failure isn't falling down. Failure is refusing to get back up. Every mistake can be a foundation stone if you learn from it. The hall erupted in applause as Tasha silently wiped her tears, remembering her own journey. After the career day, the students swarmed Amara and Tasha with questions. How did you do it? One asked Amara eagerly. How did you succeed, even after working as a laborer? Amara smiled. Discipline, patience, and faith. I never gave up, even when life humbled me. Another student, eyes wide with curiosity, turned to Tasha. And you? What about you? The hall quieted. Tasha hesitated, her throat tight. Finally, she said softly, I failed because I thought money was everything. But life taught me the hard way. What matters is character, not pride. The teachers, who once compared the two girls mercilessly, watched in silence, moved by the sight of their former students standing together. Mr. Aching, their old mathematics teacher, approached afterward. I must admit, he said, shaking Amara's hand, you proved us right. Then he turned to Tasha. And you surprised us all. You've grown. Tasha smiled weakly, grateful for his words. For years, she had resented the comparisons, but now, standing beside Amara, she finally felt free from that shadow. On their way back to the car, Tasha glanced at Amara. Do you ever think about that day, the construction site? Amara's steps slowed. Yes, she admitted. It hurt me deeply, but maybe that humiliation was part of God's plan, to break me and then rebuild me stronger. Tasha lowered her eyes. It broke me too, though in a different way. I thought I was untouchable. That day taught me nothing lasts forever. Amara placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. True, but lessons once learned last a lifetime. In the months that followed, Amara's company expanded into other regions, taking on projects for schools, hospitals, and affordable estates. She was often invited to conferences as a speaker. Meanwhile, Tasha blossomed in her administrative role. She discovered hidden talents in organization and people management. Her once careless handwriting now filled ledgers neatly. Her once dismissive tone was now respectful and professional. Colleagues who once doubted her began to trust her, and slowly, Tasha rebuilt her reputation. But the journey was not without challenges. One afternoon, Amara returned from a meeting to find Tasha in tears at her desk. "What's wrong?" she asked quickly. Tasha held out a rejection letter. "I applied for a bank job secretly. I thought maybe I could move higher, but they said no experience." Amara sat beside her. "Tasha, why are you in such a hurry? Growth takes time. You've come far already. Don't despise small beginnings." Tasha sniffled, nodding. "You're right. I'll keep learning." One evening, Amara invited Tasha to her home for dinner. It was a modest but beautiful house, warm and welcoming. As they ate, Tasha looked around. "You could live in a mansion, Amara. Why this simple place?" Amara smiled. "Because peace is better than pride. I've seen mansions filled with misery. I'd rather have a smaller house filled with joy." Tasha sighed deeply. "If only I had understood that earlier." Amara reached across the table. "You understand now. That's what matters." Years passed. Amara became a household name in the construction industry. Her projects transformed communities, offering hope to families who once lived in shacks. Journalists often asked her, "What drives you?" Her answer never changed. "I know what it means to be looked down on. That's why I build, not just buildings, but dignity." Tasha, now her trusted office manager, stood beside her in many press photos, no longer the arrogant girl from secondary school, but a woman shaped by humility and hard work. One morning, Amara received a call from an unexpected number. It was Chief Jerry, Tasha's father. His voice was weak, almost broken. "Miss Nwosu," he said quietly, I want to thank you. You gave my daughter a chance when I failed her. I raised her wrongly, made her believe money was everything. You gave her what I could not, discipline and purpose." Amara's eyes softened. "Sir, your daughter has done the real work. I only gave her an open door. She chose to walk through it." When Tasha visited her father in the hospital later that week, he took her hand and whispered, "I'm proud of you." Tears filled her eyes. It was the first time she had heard those words spoken sincerely. "Thank you, Daddy," she whispered back. She realized then that her journey from arrogance to humility had not only redeemed her own life, but had also healed broken parts of her family. For the first time, she felt at peace with her past. One Sunday afternoon, Amara and Tasha sat together on a bench outside a community housing project they had just completed. Children ran around joyfully, their laughter filling the air. Tasha watched them play and said, "Funny how life turns. If someone had told me years ago that I'd be working with you, I would have laughed." Amara chuckled softly. "Life is a master storyteller, Tasha. It breaks us, bends us, but in the end, it teaches us who we really are." The two women sat in silence, watching the children, both grateful for the unlikely friendship that had grown out of pain. Months later, Amara's firm was invited to bid for a major government housing project. The competition was fierce, with powerful companies lining up. As the team prepared their proposal, Amara looked at Tasha. "You'll handle the presentation logistics," she said firmly. Tasha froze. "Me? In front of government officials?" Amara nodded. "Yes. You've grown, Tasha. I trust you." The words filled Tasha with nervous energy, but also pride. For the first time, she felt like more than just an assistant. She felt like a partner in success. On the day of the presentation, Tasha's hands shook as she set up the projector and arranged the documents. She whispered to herself, "Don't mess this up." When it was her turn to speak, she swallowed hard and addressed the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, Amara Construction doesn't just build houses. We build hope." Her voice steadied as she continued, and by the end, even the stern-faced officials were nodding. Amara watched from the side, pride shining in her eyes. Tasha had found her voice. When the results were announced weeks later, Amara's firm won the contract. It was the largest in the company's history. That evening, the staff celebrated with music and laughter. Amara raised her glass. To hard work and to second chances. Everyone cheered. Tasha, overwhelmed, pulled Amara aside. "You changed my life," she whispered. Amara shook her head. "No, Tasha, you changed it yourself. I only showed you the door. You chose to walk through. For once, Tasha believed it. As Amara's influence grew, she was invited to speak at international conferences. In South Africa, she addressed a crowd of engineers about sustainable housing. In Ghana, she trained young women entering construction. Each time, she carried with her the memory of her humble beginnings and the humiliation that once threatened to break her. Pain, she told her audiences, isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of resilience. The applause always roared, and Amara knew her story carried weight beyond her own life. One evening after returning from a conference, Amara found Tasha waiting in her office. Her expression was nervous but determined. "Amara," she said, "I want to start something of my own one day. Not a big company, just a small business. Something honest. Do you think I can?" Amara leaned back in her chair, smiling. "Tasha, you've already proven you can. You've gone from mocking others' hard work to valuing it yourself. That's the foundation of any true business." Tasha exhaled deeply. "Then I'll start saving." Weeks later, Tasha began selling handmade crafts online in the evenings after work. She poured her heart into it, remembering Amara's words, "Excellence is built brick by brick." At first, the sales were slow, but she refused to quit. Amara often teased her. "Remember when you thought groundnuts were beneath you? Now look at you, selling bags and beads with pride." Tasha laughed. "At least this time it's mine." For the first time, she understood the joy of building something from scratch. Meanwhile, Amara's parents finally visited her office. They had always known she was doing well, but seeing her name on the door, Amara Nwosu and Associates, brought tears to their eyes. Her mother embraced her tightly. "We prayed for this, Amara. God has answered." Her father wiped his eyes. "You've honored our sacrifices." Amara smiled, thinking of all the nights studying by kerosene lamp. "I couldn't have done it without you." At that moment, she realized success was sweetest when shared. One rainy evening, as the city lights shimmered on wet streets, Amara and Tasha drove past the very construction site where everything had begun. They sat in silence, both lost in thought. Finally, Tasha whispered, "This place changed our lives. For me, it was shame. For you, it was the seed of opportunity." Amara nodded slowly. "Life is strange. Sometimes the place of humiliation becomes the ground of destiny." Tasha turned to her with tears. "Thank you for not giving up on me." The following year, Amara's firm celebrated its 5th anniversary. The event hall was packed with clients, workers, and friends. Amara stood at the podium, her voice steady. "5 years ago, I was pushing wheelbarrows. Today, we build homes for thousands. This is not just my story. It's the story of everyone who chooses perseverance over despair." The crowd erupted in applause. At the side of the stage, Tasha clapped the loudest, her heart swelling with pride, not only for Amara, but for herself as well. Later that night, after the celebration, Tasha stood outside with Amara under the starlit sky. "You know," Tasha said thoughtfully, "if someone asked me what true success is, I'd say it's not cars or mansions. It's this, standing here beside you, knowing I worked for something real." Amara smiled softly. "You finally get it." Tasha nodded. "Yes, and I'll never forget the lesson. Lifting others up will always be greater than looking down on them." Their laughter echoed into the night, two women bound by a past of rivalry and a present of shared victory. Years rolled by, and Amara's name became a symbol of integrity and innovation in construction. She received awards not just for her buildings, but for her heart. She had created jobs for hundreds, mentored young women, and proved that humble beginnings didn't define destiny. At every ceremony, Tasha stood proudly by her side, the loyal manager who had once been her greatest rival. Their story had become a testimony, whispered in classrooms, retold in business circles, and admired by ordinary people who longed for hope. One morning, Amara was invited to a live television interview. The host smiled at her and asked, "What's the secret behind your success?" Amara chuckled softly. "There is no secret, just hard work, humility, and faith. Life will test you, sometimes in cruel ways. But every challenge can be a stepping stone." The host leaned forward. And what about your journey with your old schoolmate, Tasha? Amara glanced at Tasha, who was seated backstage. She taught me that even those who hurt us can change. Everyone deserves a second chance. After the program, Tasha walked out into the sunlight, her heart swelling. She remembered the girl she used to be, the one who flaunted her wealth, laughed at others, and lived in shallow pride. She thought of the cruel video she had once made and the tears she had shed selling groundnuts on the roadside. Now, she had a stable career, a growing side business, and most importantly, dignity. Turning to Amara, she whispered, "You gave me back my life." Amara shook her head. "No, Tasha, you chose to live it differently." Their old secondary school later invited them again, this time as honored alumni. The students cheered wildly as Amara and Tasha entered the assembly hall. The principal introduced them warmly. These women represent resilience and redemption. Their journeys prove that no one is beyond failure, and no one is beyond rising again. Amara shared her story with grace, while Tasha followed with tears in her eyes. "I thought I'd failed forever," she told the students. But failure isn't final. The moment you choose to change, your life begins again. The applause was thunderous, but one girl at the back raised her hand timidly. "Miss Tasha," she asked, "how do you keep from being ashamed of your past?" The hall fell silent. Tasha inhaled deeply before answering. "I don't hide it," she said firmly. "I let it remind me where I came from. Shame only has power if you bury it. But when you face it, it becomes your strength." The students clapped again, some wiping tears. Amara looked at Tasha with quiet pride. That evening, as they drove away from the school, Tasha turned to Amara. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't seen me that day on the roadside?" Amara smiled softly. "Maybe someone else would have helped you. Or maybe life would have found another way. But I'm glad it was me. Our paths were meant to cross again, not as rivals, but as sisters." Tasha's eyes glistened. "Sisters," she repeated, letting the words settle in her heart like a long-awaited promise. Time continued to move, and both women kept building, not just careers but lives filled with meaning. Amara expanded into real estate development, while Tasha finally launched her own business, a small stationery company supplying schools. It wasn't huge, but it was hers, and she cherished it. One day, she visited Amara's office to deliver supplies. As she handed over the invoice, she laughed. "Imagine this, me, once too proud to even carry books, now running a company that supplies them." Amara grinned. Life has a sense of humor. In quiet moments, Tasha often reflected on the strange journey. From Range Rovers to roadside groundnuts, from humiliation to redemption. It was a story she never could have scripted. But she was grateful. Grateful for the fall that humbled her, and even more grateful for the hand that lifted her when she thought she was finished. "I used to think success was about outshining others," she confessed one evening, "but now I know it's about becoming better than who you were yesterday." Amara nodded. That's the real victory. Years later, when both women were invited to a National Women's Leadership Summit, they stood together on stage. Amara spoke of innovation, while Tasha spoke of transformation. Their message was simple but powerful. Success is not measured by titles or wealth, but by growth, resilience, and kindness. The audience rose to their feet in a standing ovation. That night, social media buzzed with their photos, captioned with words like friendship, forgiveness, and true success. Their story had become an inspiration far beyond their own lives. One evening, sitting on the balcony of Amara's home, the two women shared tea as the city lights flickered below. The air was calm, filled with the sound of distant laughter. Tasha looked at Amara and said quietly, "If I were you back then, I don't think I would have helped me." Amara smiled, her eyes soft. "Maybe not, but life isn't about revenge. It's about lifting others when we can. Because in the end, success means nothing if you stand alone at the top." Tasha nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "You're right. True success is lifting others up." And in that silence, under the Nairobi night sky, they both knew their